Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes a pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Welcome back to episode 182 of the Last Round Podcast. Thank you again for joining us. Jumping right back into it, fight reviews this past Saturday, the 18th of June, from the Madison Square Garden Theater in New York City on ESPN for the WBC, IBF, and WBO light heavyweight world titles. Artur Beterbiev remains undefeated with a KO streak intact as he stops Joe Smith Jr. in the second round of the fight. I'll take the hit, Mike. I said last week I think I went for Joe Smith. I thought Artur Beterbiev, his inactivity was going to hurt him, and his age. And I thought, okay, eventually, obviously age catches up to people, inactivity catches up to people. And I thought, okay, well, Beterbiev, he's human. It happens even to the best fighters in the world. Boy, was I wrong. I was totally wrong. What the hell? What? Like, he literally overpowered Joe Smith Jr. And you know what? Some of those shots didn't even look like they were that powerful. I mean, I haven't seen like close-up replays, but I saw, replays. But I don't think I saw any like detailed analysis and they didn't look that strong to me, but they were strong enough that they definitely wobbled Joe Smith and put him on jelly legs because, it was over. It was a quick night. It was a quick night for Joe Smith Jr. and Artur Beterbiev. Artur Beterbiev took, because Joe Smith had the WBC, or did he have the WBO light heavyweight title?
WBO.
Was it BO? Yeah, he had the WBO. So Artur Beterbiev took that title. The only one left waiting in the wings is Dmitry Bivol's WBA light heavyweight world title. But before we touch on a potential Dmitry Bivol fight and Artur Beterbiev, what do you think about the fight overall?
I thought it was, an outstanding fight for us, neutrals who didn't really have, one of our favorite fighters in it. And all respect to Joe Smith Jr. I think he knew that he probably wasn't going to outbox Artur Beterbiev, who was, is actually a good boxer as well as, a good finisher. And I think he just went in there with, let's just fight fire with fire. And whoever lands first's going to win. Because, Artur Beterbiev has been down before, most recently to Callum Johnson. And I think he just thought, I'm going to put it all on the line. Whoever lands first is going to take it, and hopefully it's my night. Hopefully I land first. It was good. Like you said, he just kind of like overpowered him, caught him with some really good shots. He's just calm under pressure, and he's just looks like a Bond villain, doesn't he? Just looks like, like a Russian Bond villain. He kind of plays that role really, really well. And hopefully, look at what is he, like 37, I think it was when we checked last week. And
late 30s somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like 37. So I'm thinking he's probably got a year, maybe 2 years if he's looked after himself like really, really well. He always comes in looking like, really ripped, in good condition. And I think we all want to see him fight Bivol next. I know a lot of people are kind of shouting that it's going to be Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde, I think, is the mandatory for the WBO again. And
he's also a Frank Warren fighter, and Frank Warren works alongside Top Rank. So, of course, that's going to happen next.
But even they asked him, didn't they? They asked him afterwards, do you want to fight Anthony Yarde? Or do you want to fight for the undisputed? And I think they had to repeat the question because I don't think he kind of understood it to begin with. And then he answered. He's like, I want legacy, which is Bivol. Nobody wants to fight. He could probably take the Anthony Yarde fight, knock him out real quick, and then actually go and fight Bivol, to be honest with you. I think Yarde's going to be an easy night's work for him because Yarde only really knows one way of boxing, and that's kind of coming forward. But
how much power does Beterbiev have to really make the Bivol fight? Because
obviously pulling power, you mean? Or?
Yeah. Pull. Like, how much pull does he really have to request and actually follow through to make the Bivol fight, to make an undisputed light heavyweight world championship fight? Because if they're already throwing Anthony Yard's name out there, Top Rank or, Frank Warren or whoever, or ESPN, then there's seemingly a plan in place. There's a pathway here. Like I just said, like I repeat, like Anthony Yard is with Frank Warren, Queensberry. Frank Warren has been in a partnership with Top Rank and ESPN for a while now, ever since Tyson Fury signed some type of agreement with them. So in a way, it's still an in-house fight with Yard being there as the opponent. But I repeat, like how much pull does Beterbiev have to really not make the Yard fight next and make a undisputed matchup with Bivol?
That is a good question, because Yard is popular in the UK due to the way that they kind of like bred him. He was knocking everybody out. He's sponsored by Adidas or Adidas, depending on how you say it. And he had Tunde Ajayi as kind of like his WWE like mouthpiece. So he's popular in the UK. He's got some good, big name sponsors and stuff like that. But Beterbiev probably crossed over to the casual fans a little bit. The ESPN broadcast, I think, averaged 912,000 viewers.
That was a pretty good rating.
That is a good rating, right? So if you're a casual fan, you're like, oh my God, this guy destroyed him in 2 rounds. And then at the end, it's like, Beterbiev, he's holding 3 belts. He's got that Bond villain look about him. And then they also say he's 18 wins, 18 KOs. People are going to be like, oh my God, I love this guy. So I think he's probably crossed over a little bit. And I think either fight, whether it's Yard or Bivol, is going to be on a US time zone.
Artur Beterbiev is what Edgar Berlanga wishes he was.
100%. Yeah.
Knockout streak. All the wins, all the victories.
But Beterbiev stood it against,
high level competition.
Yeah, some high level competition. He obviously came into the professional ranks at a later age due to his exploits in the amateur scene. And for the longest time, he struggled to get opponents because he was all risk and really no reward, because of the fact that he didn't have a huge following and he was super freaking dangerous, and you're probably going to get knocked out. So he had to position himself into like a position of power by picking up belts and making it to the fact where people can't turn him down. And then that's what he's been doing. And now if you want to become undisputed, you want to test your legacy, you have to go through him, because he has 3 of the 4 belts.
I don't think the Bivol fight happens. I hope it does, because we've been getting so spoiled with these undisputed matchups the last couple of years. It's been awesome. But I just don't see, if they're already throwing Yard's name out there as the subsequent opponent, then that's likely what they're going to push for and most likely make. But silver lining here is that Bivol and Zurdo Ramirez of Golden Boy will likely meet up, I'm assuming, by the end of this year, maybe in their next matchup together. So if Beterbiev goes the Anthony Yard bout in his next fight, I mean, right? It only makes sense that Bivol chooses Zurdo Ramirez, right? Because they're both DAZN. They both fight under the DAZN platform. Bivol has his I forgot what his promotion company are, but he's with Matchroom, of course, as well. But Golden Boy has Ramirez, same broadcast partner. So I'm just saying, silver lining, if we don't get an undisputed fight, as long as we get a Bivol Ramirez fight, I'm okay. Because that's still an intriguing matchup, because Ramirez has never fought anybody like Bivol. What do you think?
I mean, it's easy to make. Like you say, they're both on, Golden Boy, Matchroom are both on the same platform. They're both on DAZN, so it should be easy in terms of like broadcasters. Obviously, the Bivol and Beterbiev was, what would it be? Maybe a 2-fighter. Maybe the first one on ESPN, the rematch is then on DAZN or something like that, or a cross.
I don't think ESPN and Top Rank especially, but they're not going to let Beterbiev go to DAZN. They're not.
But then are we going to see it? We've seen Eddie do it before, but now that he's trying to make a splash, is he going to put his foot down more often?
But let me pose this question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Who is more well known as of today? Is it Bivol getting the rub of beating Canelo Alvarez in his last fight, and obviously getting a lot more recognition than he's ever had before, and in terms of fame and people knowing his name? Or is it Beterbiev, who just fought on ESPN, big multi-platform sports broadcaster? Who's the A side here in terms of money? Is it Beterbiev because he has more belts? If you look at it that way, okay. But if you look at marketability, the well-known fighter, who is it? Who is it?
That's a tricky one, because more eyes might have been on that last fight just due to the fact that it wasn't behind a paywall and it was on ESPN, and ESPN's a monster. It's in how many households across the US and Canada and even the UK and stuff like that. Whereas less people probably watched the Bivol Canelo fight on the night, but how many looked at the highlights and read the articles the next day, because Canelo's a freaking monster.
Exactly.
Canelo's a monster. He's probably the most popular fighter on the planet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Even if they didn't have the same amount of viewers, in a sense, because of Canelo's star power and because Bivol got the win, the subsequent press and media following it was a huge reach to a lot of people. Because oh my God, Canelo Alvarez, it's like if Floyd Mayweather lost when he was fighting. It'd be the same thing. Like, hell, did you hear Mayweather got beat? He got beat by this guy named whatever. The name association. Like Canelo Alvarez, oh, who beat him? I want to know who beat him. Who's the guy? I want to see what he looks like. Oh, what's his record? Where's he from? People will dig. Like, I had a lot of people after the fight, in the days after. Hey, is that Bivol guy? Yeah, he's really good, huh? Has he always been that good? And I'm just like, yeah, he's pretty solid. He just never had an opportunity on this big a stage. Nobody wanted to fight him because he wasn't financially worth it. His talent superseded his financial risk. So I was like, but he fought the biggest star. He fought the biggest star in the world, and he beat him.
Callum Smith supposedly turned down $5 million to fight him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I saw that report. That I think Bivol's team actually said that. They offered him $5 million, and he said no.
They told me.
Oh, that's right. They did tell you. That's right. I forgot about that.
When I went to see Joel Diaz when Bex the Bully was supposed to fight Kovalev.
Right.
And then Kovalev tested positive, didn't he?
Joel told you that? Who told you that?
Bivol's manager.
Oh, that's right. Vadim?
No. What's he called? I have him on Instagram. I have his number. It wasn't Vadim.
Or is it the older guy who was also Lomachenko's?
Are you sure?
Are you sure it's not Vadim?
I don't think it's Vadim.
No. Well, anyways, you're right.
Guy that works with him.
Well, anyways, you're right though, because I forgot that you had told me you had texted me right after that they told you that they offered Callum Smith $5 million, and he turned it down. He obviously turned it down because Bivol, you could see he's a threat. So it is what it is. But like I said, repeating my expression here is, if we get Ramirez Bivol as, I don't want to call it a consolation prize, but as, I guess, a backup, if we don't get an undisputed fight between Beterbiev and Bivol, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. And it's likely that Bivol and Ramirez, I mean, do you think it lands in LA or do you think it lands in Texas?
LA.
I think so too. I think it's LA.
Because I think that when they do the stuff like that and they move like these very popular Hispanic fighters to Texas, I think they're missing, they're missing the huge crowd that you're going to get in the Southern California area.
Right. But Texas has a lot of fans, man. Shout out to our Texas listeners if you're listening to this, because they do. They're big boxing fans down there.
Over the last couple of years, they've got how many more fights? It's unbelievable. The amount of boxing and MMA that now goes there.
Yeah.
The UFC was there last weekend in Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it seems Beterbiev Yard. That's what we're getting. And then, well, actually, what do you think is more likely to happen? Bivol Ramirez or Beterbiev Yard? Or is it the same?
Beterbiev Yard.
Really?
Just because of the fact of Beterbiev Yard, like you said, like Frank Warren, Top Rank have that like cross promotion deal. And then if you're Bivol, I don't know. If they've been told like, hey, it's Triple G, then do you want to risk that?
Right. And
I'm saying that Bivol, in my opinion, is probably a hell of a lot more skillful than Ramirez, but Zoda's just massive.
He's massive, man. He's massive guy.
For that weight. Like Bivol's a small. Bivol could be a super middleweight. So the size of the differences. That is going to be enormous. But it happens, Look at Joshua and Usyk, because I'm sure plenty of fans were listening then, and they were going to say that, like Joshua's huge compared to Usyk.
Right.
Do you want to risk that when for a substantially smaller payday? At the end of the day, it's a business, and they're fighting, like gladiators for a big purse for them and the family. So he may not want to risk that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Who wins? Obviously, if it gets made, we'll preview it and review it subsequently when it happens. But who wins a Beterbiev Bivol fight?
Oof.
I think that's a good matchup, man. I really do. I think that's a very good matchup.
If they did it quickly, like this year, after that performance has kind of swayed me. I think maybe Beterbiev. I don't know if Bivol has the pop to keep enough for 12 rounds. That Beterbiev is also a good boxer as well as being super heavy-handed.
Yeah,
I don't know if he could keep him off long enough, and then when he catches him, it's just lights out.
Is Beterbiev the new Dr. Steelhammer? He
might even be better with that record.
If you can take a nickname for one of the past.
Yeah.
Dr. Steelhammer. Beterbiev.
Does
he have a nickname? I don't think he has a nickname, right?
I'm not too sure what they pronounce him when he comes down to the ring. I don't know.
I don't think he does. But anyways, I kind of, no, I'm not kind of, but I look forward more to a Bivol Ramirez fight than I do a Beterbiev Yard fight, because I think Beterbiev is just he's way too much of a matchup for something like Anthony Yard. Whereas I think a Bivol Zurdo Ramirez fight is a lot closer in competition. What do you think?
A lot closer.
Do you think Yard has the same chance to be Beterbiev that Ramirez does to beat Bivol?
No.
Who has a bigger chance?
Yard will get smoked easily by Beterbiev.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think in terms of competition, besides a Beterbiev Bivol, I think a Bivol Ramirez fight is intriguing. It's intriguing where you're like, oh, okay, like you said, Ramirez is a big guy. He's a huge guy. He probably rehydrates like 25, 30 pounds after the weigh-in.
And you know that De La Hoya is going to be throwing money at that fight, hoping that Zurdo wins. And then he can be like, hey, he beat the guy that conquered Canelo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Canelo, let's go.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm sure that was a driving factor why Golden Boy signed Ramirez. Not only because he's Mexican fan base, Golden Boy has a big Mexican market. Makes sense. But Ramirez fights in and around Canelo Alvarez's weight class now. And Golden Boy would love to make that fight. Ever since they lost Canelo, and Canelo's done all these fights with Matchroom and one with PBC Showtime, I'm sure, like you said, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy are hoping that Ramirez pans out where they get him to a Canelo payday. And they can lure Canelo back and make an all-Mexican clash at 175 maybe. Who knows? They're hoping that happens. I mean, I think if hypothetically, if you could ask Oscar De La Hoya, hey, would you rather make Ramirez Canelo if you had the chance, or would you rather make like Ryan Tank Davis or something like that? What do you think he would say? Or a Virgil Ortiz, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. Which one do you think he would pick if he's like, hey, you can only make one with a guarantee that you're going to make the fight? Which one do you take?
I would say the Canelo fight, just because one, it's huge, and two, I'm sure he always says that he has no ill feeling towards Canelo, but I'm sure he does, because he got into where he was, and then I think like anybody in if you take somebody from where they were, and then now is the point where he's making the biggest purses, and it's the time where you're gonna reap the rewards of all the money that you plowed into him.
Right. And
he walks away. I'm sure there's going to be something, there where you're kind of, angry at him, or, you're kind of sad about it because you thought of him as like a son, like a brother. There's going to be something there where you kind of, want to get something back.
Right. No, yeah, you're right. So that'd be intriguing, man. But I'm sure that's the plan. I'm sure in the sales pitch to Ramirez when they signed him, when Golden Boy signed him, like, hey, we'll progress you, we'll keep you going, but we'll try to get you a Canelo fight, because he's obviously fighting. He's fought now twice in your weight class. I'm sure he's not going to go back up to 175 for quite a few fights, but he's doing it. He is doing it. Also on the card, Robizi Ramirez, 10-1, gets the 5th round KO over Abraham Nova, who takes the first professional loss of his career. This was for the vacant WBO Global Featherweight Championship. What do you think about Ramirez's win?
He's more and more looking like the prospect that I think we, the fans and Top Rank, thought he was going to be. After, as everybody says, and they say on every single time he's on TV, he came in and lost his professional debut and then went away, changed trainers, and now he's looking like the real deal. Good win over, Abraham Nova, who was, had substantially more professional experience than him. But maybe that's all it was just getting really used to the professional style over the amateur style. And he's looking like he's going to be, featherweight champion. I would imagine he's looking just really, really good.
It's going to be a while, though. It's going to be a while before he really gets to that upper echelon of the featherweight division, don't you think?
On that performance, I'm not too sure now. I think you could probably move him a little bit quicker.
But like ideally, how many more fights before they can really put him in the higher competitiveness of that division, featherweights?
I would have said Abraham was a decentish level, and now obviously with picking up a WBO Global, that's got him a few more points, in the ranking system for the WBO. It's just hard. I mean, it's a hard division, and where especially with all the belts are. I would say 3. I think 3 more fights maybe, and we'll see him up there. Maybe just get him a little bit more TV exposure. I think after that performance, a lot of people will be, looking out for him. So,
right.
And then, I think Top Rank are doing a card in Scotland, so they'll probably take him over there. With the featherweight division having quite a few British fighters, they'll probably showcase him over there, and then maybe we'll see him against one of the Brits.
Probably, I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Moving on, fight previews this upcoming Saturday, the 25th of June, from the Tech Port Arena in San Antonio, Texas, on DAZN. MJ Akhmadaliev, undefeated 10-0, goes up against Ronnie Rios, 33-3, for the WBA, IBF, and IBF Super Bantamweight World Championship titles. I'm excited for this fight, man. I think, those Eastern European guys are no joke. I think Ronnie Rios definitely has his work cut out for him, but we know Ronnie. We talked to him a few times. Obviously, we had his brother on, Lex. We've interviewed him a bunch of times. They're great guys. And like I said, I think when we had Lex on a week or two ago, when Ronnie Rios beat Diego De La Hoya at Carson at the StubHub Center, that was a big momentum win for him. And I think he has the gold WBA title or something, which kind of puts him in as a contender, or number one contender, I guess. Excuse me. This is gonna be a tough fight. It's gonna be a tough fight, man. But I'm excited, man. I think if Rios pulls this off, man, that's a huge win, because then he becomes unified bantamweight world champion. He becomes unified, and then that opens the door to what? To other guys in the division. Franco,
Fulton.
Stephen Fulton. Imagine that. A Ronnie Rios Stephen Fulton match. Obviously the politics would obviously get in the way, but MJ's no joke, man. MJ is no joke. The kid can fight. He can fight. But I'm hoping it's competitive, man. I'm hoping it's competitive, and this is Ronnie Rios' time to shine and really show what he's made out of. And I mean, we know how hard him and his brother train and what they go through. I'm hoping for the best, man. What do you think?
I kind of agree with pretty much what you said. I think everybody knows MJ is he's great to watch, very unorthodox. It must be super hard to train for somebody like that, because how do you replicate that movement, that kind of very back and forth style, kind of like coming in and out of range constantly. Must be super hard to get, sparring for something like that. But I'm just hoping, with the experience that Ronnie has in the professional game, and all the people that he's fought and all the losses that he's had, I think that he's mature enough to probably get to the point where he's like, I'm losing a few rounds, but I can still catch him. And Ronnie's shown before, that when he catches you, he does have power. And I don't know if we've really seen MJ, take one like fully on the whiskers from somebody like Ronnie.
I think Rios comes in probably more with the power edge here. Am I wrong?
I would say so, because MJ, because of his movement, he doesn't really sit down on his punches. He's kind of punching as he moves, because he's in and out of range. He's got that kind of like Usyk, Lomachenko kind of style.
Yeah.
Like the amateur style, the old amateur style, where you kind of just fence in from distance. So if I was, Ronnie, I would just sort of say to him, if I was in his corner, like, hey, you're gonna probably feel like it's a task because of the movement, and he's so hard to pin down. Don't think about the rounds. Just think about eventually catching him. Just be confident that there's going to be a point in the fight, in the 12 rounds, where you catch him.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to him. And like you said, friend of the show, love him, love Lex. And, I hope he can do it. It's a big task. It's a big task. But he's been there before. And I think that, with his experience, that'll help him going into the fight. But whoever wins, I hope we see another undisputed fight against Fulton. But like you said,
yeah,
unfortunately, PBC don't really want to share their toys. So
yeah, that's the thing. Regardless of who wins, I think it's more likely that if MJ wins, I think it's more likely that he goes over to Showtime and fights Fulton. But if Ronnie Rios wins, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to cross over. Because, I mean, I think we all know that PBC and Showtime, they're gonna try to say in the negotiation table, hey, well, Fulton's more well known, so you need to come over here, regardless of who it is. But I think if it's Rodriguez-Sor, it's gonna be a tougher time because of the Golden Boy PBC. I guess if you want to call it a relationship or non-relationship, I think MJ and his team. Which is he with Matchroom or is he with?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he still is. I think it's like a
same thing, right?
World of boxing.
Yeah, it's like partner or something. But I think MJ would have an easier time politically going to Showtime and fighting Fulton in an undisputed matchup. So that's what I think. But like I said, I think Ronnie Rios has the power edge here, and I think that might be the X factor. But these Eastern European guys, man, they can fight. They have that heavy amateur pedigree, and they show it. Like you touched on Usyk, Lomachenko, obviously Bivol. These guys can fight, man. They can fight. They can outbox you and just frustrate you all 12 rounds. It happens. So I think it's an intriguing fight. I'm excited for it. Regardless of who wins and who loses, I hope it's a great fight. To the point where maybe we're like, hey man, we should probably get a rematch. Those are always some of the best fights you can watch. The ones where you're just like, man, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. So we will see. In the co-main event, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the undefeated WBC super flyweight world champion, goes up against Ruiz-Ortiz Rungvisai, which I don't know if that's like his nickname or where that came from. I still, after all these years, I really don't know, but his actual name, as listed on BoxRec and all that, is Wisaksil Winejek. Completely different. So whoever, I'm sure if I Google it, if I search online or something, I'm sure I can find out why. Two different names. Maybe one's more for marketing, American marketing or something, but they're completely different names. But it's an interesting dichotomy to see that. But hey, man, if Bam Rodriguez can beat Sor Rungvisai with the pedigree that Sor Rungvisai has and the wins that Sor Rungvisai has had over his career ever since he got put on the map when he defeated Chocolatito Gonzalez twice, man, I think we already know that Bam Rodriguez is no joke. He's real. He's a real deal. But that only solidifies that notion if he beats Sor Rungvisai, especially if he stops him. What do you think?
If he stops him, then he moved up 2 weight divisions, right, to win WBC, and then goes on to fight Sor Rungvisai, one of the best fighters in that weight category, when he's technically 2 weight divisions below. That's just unbelievable for somebody of his age to come in there and do something like that, like before he's ever really, had a huge world caliber fight, just to come in there and like fresh win the title and then defend it against a legend of the flyweight division would be just unbelievable, really, wouldn't it? It'd be like a boom, welcome to the pros, just to do something like that. We knew about him for a while. Josh Franco, his brother, it kind of said when he was on the show here, like Bam's the one with the talent in the family.
Yeah. When he was on, you're right. He did say that. That was like
a long time ago,
2 years ago or something, where he's like,
I think it was during COVID.
He's like, my little brother. He's like, he's the one with the talent. He's like, he's the guy you got to keep your eye on. And he's right. So far, he's been proven right.
I mean, he's great to watch. Just look at the way that he won the WBC title, and regardless of whether he wins this or loses this, just the fact that what he's done already at such a young age is an achievement in itself.
Right.
And he's got a long career ahead of him, and it's going to be great to watch. That those divisions are really like heating up now. I think with DAZN kind of putting the backing behind it. It's just due to some of the fights like Chocolatito, Estrada, Bam Rodriguez, his brother Josh Franco, Rungvisai, just a round robin between all of those guys would
That's
be
ridiculous, man. What a division right now.
Yeah, it really is, and it's good to see that because as we've said before, they didn't used to get the love that they did, and then ever since those Superfly cards done by Tom Loeffler, I think people are now starting to understand how good they are because they're all action, because they're all lighter, fitter, and now we're actually getting some knockouts because before they used to go 12 rounds a lot more often because they weren't as powerful because they're smaller guys, but you are seeing knockouts now. So
right. If Bam Rodriguez wins, hypothetically, does he get a shot at either Chocolatito Gonzalez or Estrada first, or do we see a Chocolatito Estrada rematch first?
Well, we keep hearing different things because Estrada obviously had that purse bid with Joshua Franco, and all the news was that Estrada was going to walk away from that and fight Chocolatito because the purse bid was only $60,000. So his purse was going to be something like $35,000, and Josh's was going to be $25,000 for a world title fight.
That's
atrocious.
Right.
So I think even Eddie Hearn touched it briefly in an interview that's what he believed was going to happen because, say, for example, Joshua Franco, upsets Estrada, then do we ever get the trilogy between Chocolatito and Estrada? Because people are going to be like, well, Estrada's washed up now. Chocolatito's going to beat him easily. So would you really risk that for a $35,000, $40,000 purse when you can probably fight, Chocolatito for substantially more? Okay, you probably have to drop your titles for that. And obviously Joshua Franco will be, upgraded to the super duper duper or whatever it is. But yeah, if I was him, I would do that because, how many times are you going to get fight Chocolatito? They're both coming to the ends of their career and it's going to be, probably an amazing payday for him. So yeah, if I was him, I would definitely drop that and fight Chocolatito.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably more the likelihood. Also on the card, El Rey, Julio Cesar Martinez, 18-2, goes up against McWilliams Arroyo for the WBC flyweight world title. Obviously, Martinez is coming off a loss to Chocolatito, but he did go up in weight to take Estrada's, it was Estrada's spot. Who I don't know, I forgot if he got injured or sick or what happened, but
missed weight.
He missed weight. That's right. Martinez, McWilliams Arroyo.
No, sorry. Estrada got sick. Then Martinez missed weight.
No, Martinez missed weight. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we have all our stuff confused there. We were there for that fight in San Diego, California. I like this fight, man. McWilliams Arroyo has been in there with, the biggest names in that division over the last, several years. And Martinez is obviously, even though he's coming off a loss against arguably not just one of the greatest fighters in that division, but one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Well, if you remember, this is the rematch. Remember from the headbutt.
Oh, that's right. They did fight initially. You're right. Man, if we get another headbutt again.
Because the first, what is it, two or three rounds where he knocked Martinez down, Martinez got back up, knocked him down, and then McWilliams kind of, to be honest with you, looked like he gave up, right? He got that head clash, and then he kind of goes to the doctor, and he looks like he just kind of like gave up, like he didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
But that had all of the makings in the first couple of rounds, like that was going to be an absolutely unbelievable fight.
If we get any glimpse of that in this fight, because you're right. I forgot they already fought and it was stopped because of the headbutt, and they both went down before it was stopped. Oh man, I hope they can at least live up to some of that hype. It should. I mean, like you said, talking about these lower weight classes, they're a lot quicker, a lot more fit, a lot faster. We've seen a lot more knockouts in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
you're right. Hopefully, in this world title fight too.
El Rey is just must see TV regardless.
Yeah, he's fun to watch, man. He really is. He's fun to watch. And like I said, he went up in weight to fight Chocolatito and he lost, but I mean, he took the spot at short notice. He's like, I'll go up in weight. I'll take it. Got to give him a ton of credit for that. Rounding off the card for the undisputed welterweight world title, Jessica McCaskill, 11-2, goes up against Alma Ibarra, 10-1. What do you think about this fight?
McCaskill will probably win.
Well, McCaskill seems like she's, her talent is just too much for a lot of fighters right now, especially since she won those titles. It seems like she's on a whole nother level right now.
Yeah, she's apart from obviously when she fought Katie Taylor, that was one of her losses, and then after that, she went on to become, undisputed. Probably a 12-round decision, right? As usual.
Yeah. We never really see knockouts. But speaking of which, the Clarissa Shields Savannah Marshall fight, we haven't heard anything about that. We're going to touch on that right now. But news and notes as we round towards the finish line of this week's episode of The Last Round. Andy Ruiz Jr. and Ruiz-Ortiz have announced that they will headline a September 4th Fox Sports pay-per-view. You heard that right. Pay-per-view clash from the Staples Center, now called the Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles. Let me ask you this. If Ruiz never got the AJ fight, scratch that. If Ruiz never got the win against AJ and became undisputed or unified heavyweight world champion, he got all this press. He was all over, met the president of Mexico and this and that. He became star overnight. Would this fight be on pay-per-view against Ortiz?
No.
It wouldn't be, right?
He was fighting. Before that, he was fighting on the undercard, fighting Dimachenko for.
Yeah, he was on the show a couple weeks before that fight
for like 16 grand or 60 grand or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So no, he was. He was looking at retiring, wasn't he? He wasn't making money, and he was just, living paycheck to paycheck. Essentially, he was thinking about doing other stuff. He's
also left Eddie Reynoso, and he went with another train. He went with who did he go with? I forgot who he went with, but he just left Eddie Reynoso, so he's got a new trainer now. I mean, what is that going to do? And also Eddie Reynoso losing all these fighters, and obviously we know the Ryan situation. That's, I'm sure Eddie Reynoso was glad to let him go or see him go, but Andy Ruiz and I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened there. I thought that was going to keep working because Ruiz seemed like
Frank Sanchez left.
Frank Sanchez left. He followed Ryan with Joe Goosen. So yeah, I mean, what's going on down there in San Diego at the Eddie Reynoso camp? I don't think Canelo's never going to leave, but imagine if he did. Like, holy shit, Canelo now training with Robert Garcia or something like that. What kind of crazy news would that be?
I don't. The thing about Andy Ruiz though is he's the problem, not the trainers.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think after that world title fight, he's never had the same hunger that he did. He just never had, he got all this money, and good for him. His family's set for life. He did it. He had the rematch against AJ, and he's been getting paid well ever since. But yeah, I think the fame and the lifestyle just got him, and boxing became secondary to everything else at the moment. It's just a job now. Whereas at that time, I think he was fighting for legacy and wanted to be recognized. And as soon as he got that recognition, in addition to the pay, I think that was it.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think it was a perfect storm for him because he was kind of already in shape because he just fought. Because people have always said, if you gave Andy Ruiz like a way out, he's always going to take the easy path because he was just essentially a lazy guy. He didn't like to train and stuff like that. And, then winning all that money.
We're not saying that just off the cuff. We've had people who know him internally close to the Ruiz camps who have told us that directly. So
yeah, I think people, I think Manny Robles and stuff like that have done interviews saying, what he was like, and you'd have to drag him to the gym and stuff like that. And he's probably one of those guys where you'd have to watch him, like you tell him to do like an X amount of push-ups or sit-ups, and if you weren't watching, he'll do less. I'm assuming he's one of those guys.
I mean, do you think the Staples Center? Do you really think it's gonna?
The first thing when you announced it was, I hope it's not $75.
It is going to be. Well, no, his last one, I think it was 49, wasn't it?
I hope it's 49.
It should be, but you never know. It could be $75. I mean,
well, September.
Look at it this way. The reason it's on Fox is because Fox, and this is the reports that we've heard, Fox has already told PBC and Al Heyman, like, hey, we're not going to put on any of these fights anymore on our free TV. So if you're going to bring us a fight, bring it to us on pay-per-view. So that's why it's on Fox. It's like, okay, well, let's just throw this one on Fox pay-per-view. 2 heavyweights, a Mexican guy, I think Ortiz is Cuban. It could sell downtown LA, Hispanic market.
But you've got football season's starting around then, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that, you've got a $75, $80 pay per view with Canelo.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, I don't think it was a coincidence that PBC and Al Heyman put Ruiz a week or two right before Canelo Triple G fight. Because I guarantee you that if Ruiz was still with Eddie Reynoso and the Canelo camp, I'm pretty sure he would say, like, oh, no, I don't want to fight that close to Canelo. I don't want to hurt his financial chances because we're on the same team. But, I mean, who was in Ruiz's ear? Who was in Frank Sanchez's ear to get him away from the Canelo camp? What's going on there? Like, I really want to know what's going on there.
He ended up at Guzan because he has the same manager
as Ryan.
Yeah, Loopy.
Yeah, I'm sure they convinced him. He's like, hey, man, I'm always up here. It's just easier. Just come up here. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like, I wonder what Frank Sanchez told Reynoso. Like, hey, look, like, I want to stay, but it's easier because he's up there and he's going to run my career. I can see that. Man, we got to have a mole down there at the Reynoso camp in San Diego to tell us what's going on. But yeah, Fox Sports pay-per-view. I think it's just going to be the lower bowl of the Staples Center. I mean, I don't think that's completely full. That thing is like between 18 and 20,000 seats. Completely full. So what are we going to get? 5,000? 6,000?
Yeah, I think we'll probably get 6,000 to 8,000, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, in the way that the financial situation in the world is at the minute, you can't be putting on pay-per-views, back-to-back weeks and stuff like that.
And then they're saying that, there's a bunch of reports all over different outlets, whatever you want to believe, but there's a recession incoming, and it's September is a couple months away. Recession could happen very easily between now and then. And like you said, with everything going up in price, inflation, gas, cost of goods and products, you're right. How are you going to put stuff on pay-per-view? But, PBC and Al Heyman are looking at like, well, we have to pay Ruiz. We can't afford him unless we put it on pay-per-view to try to recoup some of that money. For Ruiz, it's great. But for the fans, especially in this time, in this current timeline that we're living, with everything as expensive as it's becoming, you're right. People are going to think twice about these pay-per-views at 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks. They really are. They're going to think twice. So we will see. Like we touched on earlier, Carissa Shields, Savannah Marshall for the Undisputed Middleweight Championship will take place on September 10th at the O2 Arena in London, according to ESPN. It hasn't been officially announced, but that's in and around the Canelo, Andy Ruiz. They're all within like a 2-week time span or something like that. So finally, I mean, as long as we get an official announcement, This is the fight. This is I think the biggest women's fight. I think I even said it before the Taylor Serrano fight. I think I said from a boxing perspective and knockout perspective and actually competitive perspective, I think I was looking forward more to a Shields Marshall fight because of Marshall's power, and she's been knocking out her opponents. And like we just touched on earlier with the McCaskill fight, we don't see too many female knockouts, so it's a rarity. So it obviously helps the fans' interest to tune in, right? So, are you still picking Marshall to win?
Yeah,
man, you better stick to that, man. I think Shields takes it. I think Shields is a different fighter at the professional level than they were before turning pro, but
she won't be able to
withstand.
Yeah, she'll be able to back her up.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this fight, man. I'm definitely looking forward to this fight. Hopefully, we get an official announcement because as of this recording, we haven't gotten an official announcement. I don't think, right?
No, nothing that I saw on Twitter or anything like that. I'm sure it'll be all over the place when it does because it's either the biggest or second, third biggest women's fight. In terms of skill, I think it'll probably be a better fight than Taylor Serrano. But I think more eyes are on Taylor Serrano. They're bigger names.
With Jake Paul involved, they're bigger. It's definitely bigger. Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. Ex-world champions Jose Pedraza and Richard Comey will meet on August 27th in Tulsa, Oklahoma, according to ESPN. This is most likely to be announced, especially because they're both on the ESPN platform with Top Rank. Pedraza is coming off a loss against Jose Ramirez. Comey is on the heels of a defeat to Vasily Lomachenko. Comey is moving up to 140 pounds for the Top Rank boxing on ESPN main event. This is a pretty good crossroads fight. I'm actually intrigued by this fight. What do you think?
Good. I like both of them. I think we've said before, I'm a big fan of Pedraza. I kind of feel sorry for the guys. They're kind of feeding him to everybody. In the Top Rank stable.
They really are for years.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, congratulations to him, right? Another payday, another main event, another fight on ESPN. So what more could you ask for in terms of where he is in his career now? He's still main eventing. So yeah, congratulations to him. And Comey, I think, will look good at a bit of that division. He's always a big
guy, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he might actually look pretty good moving up. Those extra few pounds. Might make him a little bit stronger, a little less, prone to getting knocked down, I guess.
Right.
So I think it'd be a good fight though. Definitely a good fight.
Yeah, this fight is definitely probably more competitive at 140 than it would have been at 135. So it definitely helps the matchup and the marketing. And also this week, the rematch press conference, the kickoff press conference in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, between unified heavyweight champion of the world. Unified heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua is now set for August 20th. They had a press conference this week. Robert Garcia was there. It was the first time they were together in public. So that was interesting to see. I was like, man, that was very intriguing to see. So, Robert Garcia, Anthony Joshua together. Eddie Hearn was there. Some Saudi Arabian officials, it looks like from their government. It was very, I don't know if I saw some clips of it. It was very the production of it was actually very, very good. The definition of the video, how it looked, how they had everything set up. It looked very, very professional. Very, very, you can tell they put in a lot of work behind the scenes. I was like, okay, And I know some people say sports washing, Saudi Arabian. I get it. But, from a fan's perspective, as watching a heavyweight championship of the world, this is what happens. Are we surprised? I mean, let's go back to the Ruiz loss when AJ lost to Ruiz. Don't you think that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and AJ were like, okay, well, Saudi Arabia is offering us a ton of money. If you lose again, at least we cash out in a way, and we get the most bang for our buck in Saudi Arabia. It's not going to be the same type of atmosphere with fans, but the money is going to be way more than anywhere else we're going to fight. So it's the same thing here. Like, okay, well, he lost to Usyk. There's a chance he could lose again. So let's get the most bang for our buck. Let's go back to Saudi Arabia. But if AJ didn't lose and beat Usyk the first time and there was a rematch, or whoever was an X, whether it was Wilder or whoever, or Fury, this fight wouldn't happen in Saudi Arabia. It looks like Saudi Arabia is becoming the spot to go to when the marquee A-side star loses and they think, okay, is he going to be able to win the rematch? Well, let's not take that risk. Let's get the most bang for our buck and go to Saudi Arabia because they have so much money. They're going to pay. They're going to overpay. So, yeah, we got an official press conference. It's happened hopefully between now and August. There's no injuries. There's no issues, and it comes out. Do you think it ends the same as the first one?
Usyk will win. Yeah. Either he might even knock him out this time.
You think he knocks him out? Really?
Might do. I think he's fought him once, and not normally, in a rematch, the same person wins, and sometimes wins quicker and easier than the first time because they've already fought them. They kind of know what's happening, and they grow in confidence because they beat them once. Usyk could have stopped him the first time. The referee, when he had him on the last round and he had him against the ropes and he was just like unloading on him, the referee could have technically stepped in then, really.
Yeah. Now that you're reminding me about that situation, yeah, I could see that. But I'm very intrigued to see how Anthony Joshua fights under Robert Garcia.
I saw the interview. I don't know if you saw it. I think I might have sent it to you. The interview with IFL TV with Robert Garcia and Angel Fernandez. And Robert said that he's been sneakily flying over to train with Joshua since December.
Yeah. I think, I didn't see that interview, but I had seen, because how him and his son, Peter Garcia, do like their own YouTube channel. I think he's mentioned it on there that he was going to try still come back in between to help Franco and those guys train. Because, he's still got world champions. And I think he even said he's gonna be here this weekend for the San Antonio card.
Yeah, he said that in the same interview I watched, actually, that he was going to fly.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure he told that to AJ in his camp. He's like, hey, man, look, I'll train with you. It's an honor to train with you. But when I need to go back for my world title fights for my champions, you got to let me go. I'll come right back, but you got to let me go over there. And I'm sure they were just like, yeah, that works. So you got to give it to Robert Garcia, going back and forth across the world like that to train all these different world champions in different time zones, different parts of the world. That's dedication right there, man. There really is.
Well, when he's getting that Josh AJ payday, I'm sure.
I know, right? Can't pass that up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good though. It's good to see. We've seen just how big Robert's stable's grown in the few years that we've been covering boxing in California.
Oh yeah.
From that little outhouse to like now they've extended it.
Yeah, they've added like a whole new gym next to it, like connected.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much
ridiculous.
doubled.
Yeah, they doubled it. Yeah, it's wild.
And then it's sponsored by Adidas.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And then just how much that gym's grown, and how many times have we said like the guys in that stable are just unbelievable fighters because of the sparring they get in there, and
iron sharpens iron in that Robert Garcia gym. Really does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I really would like to know who's sparring with AJ. What kind of sparring is he getting right now?
He used to use a lot of the guys in the GB squad, a lot of Olympians and stuff like that. Just I think because of how many punches they throw and stuff like that. I'm sure we could find out who he's got down there.
Yeah. Would you? Obviously he's a way lower weight class, but like, if you were like a trainer or on the team, would you ever consider putting like a Bivol or something? Not like a full-fledged sparring match with AJ, but like maybe to put him in there just to kind of see how these Eastern Europeans move.
100% for a fight like this.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, because of the fact that you want someone smaller, nimble, quick.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's going to be in against.
Right.
So you'd want a Bivol would be a really good example, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I think he's the closest. he's the closest in weight. I mean, there's nobody else close to that heavyweight weight that fights like Usyk, I think, besides Bivol. Even though Bivol fights at 175, there's nobody else.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, I don't think. Obviously, we're just saying it out of we're just talking out of our asses here, but that's what I would do, and just to kind of see how like the movement of these Eastern Europeans, because I mean, that's what you have to train for.
It'd be a good example, but Bivol's probably better in terms of technique and movement and stuff. Michael Hunter.
Yeah, I guess.
Just because he's bigger, he doesn't have that Eastern European movement like you're touching on.
Well, that's why I mentioned Bivol, because that's important.
Yeah, he's just
that Eastern European style is different from every other style in boxing right now. It's just different. So, and I mean, I don't know. Who knows? If we hear in the coming weeks that for some reason Bivol's over there helping train, man, people know where you heard it first, right here on the last round. Because, I mean, what else are you going to do? Usyk is hard to train for, just like Bivol's hard to train for, just like Lomachenko's hard to train for. Those guys are hard to train for, man. They really are.
They're just taking over combat sports.
Yeah.
Kazakhs, Ukrainians, Russians. I think it's just bred in them, isn't it? Like when you're having 300, 400 amateur fights, then turning professional, and you're facing somebody from, the US or even Great Britain who's only had like 20 or 30 amateur fights.
Right.
And then they're turning pro. You know what I mean? It's just how comfortable they look, even in very, very hard fights. They just don't look scared. They just don't look nervous because they've done it so many times. And they've had so many amateur fights. They've seen like every robotic. Single style.
Yeah. It's like robotic. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, we appreciate you guys listening to this week's episode of The Last Round. Please remember, we have merchandise available at the Fit Warrior brand company. It's in our link tree that's located on our social media handles and all of that. Please check us out. Check out the shirts and the sweater. Support us. Check us out and help us move through this crazy world we call boxing. But before we sign off, Mike, go ahead, and let them know where they can find us and follow us.
We are at The Last Round 12 on Instagram and Twitter. Be sure to join us next week. We'll be reviewing that great matchroom card from San Antonio. Looking forward to Joe Joyce, Christian Hammer, and Marius Bradis is back fighting his mandatory in, I think it's pronounced Jai Opataya.
I hope you got it right. So for my co-host Michael Shepard, I'm Danny Z. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This is The Last Round Podcast.